cares? What does it even mean? Well, it means we're being held prisoner by the Twitter world for fear of being offensive. And yes, while we shouldn't strive to offend, we shouldn't be so quick to succumb to this rampant victim culture either. You see, comedy's at a very dangerous crossroads. Just ask Dave Chappelle. Freedom of speech, freedom to be human, make mistakes, to laugh at ourselves is all at risk when even the biggest media giants on the planet are running scared from the very people who may or may not even be real. They might even be bots programmed to start trouble. And that's what has me just a little bit concerned. Well, that and the fact that Game of Thrones won because it really wasn't very good this season. Secrets of the Sire starts now.
Secrets of the Sire.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Sire Studios digital network, youtube.com/Secrets of the Sire and facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. And you can catch us on Castworks Industries Comedy Network as well. I am your host, Michael Dolce. As always, I am joined by my co-host extraordinaire, the Lord of the live stream himself, Hassan Godwin.
How about your co-host extraordinaire? Does that mean I'm an extraordinary co-host, or it's like out of all the co-hosts in the aggregate of co-hosts, I am the most extraordinary? Is that how that?
It's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. It all kind of goes.
Fair enough. I'll take it. I'll take any accolade at this point. I'll do it.
So cool. I got to tell you, before we get into, we've got Emmy stuff. We've got Collective Soul tonight, which is pretty awesome. And we're going to review the new J.J. Abrams helmed Spider-Man comic. I broke our own unwritten rule over the weekend. Now, mind you, I don't know if you can tell, I'm a little under the weather. I was in charge of both my children this weekend. My wife, deservingly so, got a weekend away for a bachelorette party with her friends.
As another parent put to me a long time ago, children are petri dishes. So yes. Are you saying, okay, so you... Yes. So you caught some kind of amalgamation of whatever. It actually
started after last week's show. Just, with kids, you have to rearrange your schedule. You have to work wherever you possibly can, or at least especially when you don't have like a 9 to 5 like we don't, or I don't. And I run myself ragged, different off hours, and then they don't. Like my 3-year-old finally sleeps, but my 1-year-old or soon to be 1-year-old, she'll be happy birthday, Bella. She'll be 1 on Saturday.
Wow, congratulations. Oh my God. Has it been a year already?
It's been a year already. Yeah.
Oh my God.
She now gets up at 5:30. So, I can work my tail off. But unfortunately it leaves me open to getting their germs. Both of them were sick last week, and naturally now I am sick. But anyway, watching The Wizard. Do you remember The Wizard? 1989 vehicle, Fred Savage.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was on HBO, and I was like, "This is awesome! I'm gonna watch it." Totally forgot Christian Slater was in that movie.
So did I.
Didn't even register. I decided, okay, I'm gonna tweet out some stuff as I'm doing this, because I think other people out there. And I did some stuff on Facebook and got a nice response from my network of folks of like, "Oh, look, it's The Wizard! Yeah, we love that movie." Blah blah blah. We should do a retro review. It is still actually a really good film. And I kind of wrote, and I thought it was really interesting, the fact that there was a girl video gamer. Like, she was the girl that they meet at the bus station when they're trying to get to California. And, she claims that she's really good and she's gaming. And I'm sitting there going like, oh, that whole GamerGate thing, like what a bunch of nonsense. There was girl gamers 30 years ago. And so I, of course, tweet that out. And I use the hashtag because I think at this point the hashtag has got to be like useless, right? I get so many negative responses to my response. One guy is
went out there. You
I press send. I press send.
Your unmovable philosophy in life is don't hit send. I have actually, as many times as I've disagreed with you, as many times as that Dolce doesn't know what he's talking about. The one thing that has absolutely become part of my philosophy because of you is, I don't need to send this. I don't need to have this conversation with anybody. So that's the funny
part, though, right? So I get hate from people who are still gamer gators. I guess it's exactly like comics gators.
They still exist.
But he's like, actually, there's been female gamers since the '70s, so you played yourself. And I'm sitting there going like, but wait,
No,
I'm like, didn't I support? So now I'm just totally confused. I have like 100-degree fever. I'm just praying my kids don't wake up, and I'm like, I don't fucking need this. Oop, beep, bing. Like, I don't need this right now. Like,
Nah,
I was like, delete tweet, just delete tweet. Like it was.
You deleted the tweet.
Oh, I absolutely deleted the tweet. And normally I would sit there and be like a staunch, like, instigator and kind of like really, but
Troll.
I was like,
You would troll.
no,
Basically.
I wouldn't troll. Oh, no. I would retaliate. I'm a retaliation troll. But no, in this case, I'm just like, I don't.
The mentality
I
of
don't.
like you played yourself, even though you actually did say, well, no, didn't I just say that there were female gamers?
And the thing is that this guy was representing himself as a gamer gator. And being like, there's been so much misinformation about us and this and that. I was like, wow, it sounds like Comicsgate. It's interesting. And I'm sitting there going like, I don't need this. I don't need this. So
yeah, that's true.
that's my foray into GamerGate.
You don't need, I mean, like, also you can't have played yourself without being complicit in playing yourself, right? Someone can't just announce that you played yourself.
Like, by speaking something factual.
Yeah, but you have to have that. Someone said that to me a couple of weeks ago because I made a comment. Someone came back and said that the comment was not true, and whatever. And then someone else came along and was like, "Oh, this started so embarrassing." So I'm like, am I supposed to be embarrassed, or does that mean you're embarrassed for me?
Right.
And then they were like, you should be embarrassed for yourself because you're trying to be the smartest guy in the room. And I'm like, okay, well, if I should be embarrassed for myself, didn't work because I'm not embarrassed. If you're embarrassed for me, you're wasting your time because I'm not embarrassed. Right. And they actually said, I can see that. That was the last thing they said. So like the argument just kind of fizzled out. But yeah, man, people are just looking to flame you. No matter what you said. That's why I am such a student of your philosophy of no consent. There's no need to be having this conversation at all with any of these strangers.
I will at some point have this conversation with strangers when I'm ready and prepared to deal with it. But
when you don't have 105 fever and kids screaming and wondering if you'll actually even see tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. And with that, we will get into our Sire Bites.
Oh.
Boom. Game of Thrones ties Emmy record, wins Best Drama Series, despite a universally panned final season that saw fans start a Change.org petition signed by thousands. This is coming from the New York Daily News, which, by the way, attention New York Daily News, with numerous grammatical and just typos everywhere. They're charging for their app now. Like you could only read a certain amount. I'm like, dude, you're not the New York Times. Like, anyway. So this was my last article for the month that I'm allowed to read, apparently.
Really?
Wow. Asking for reshoots, the sprawling epic fantasy drama made history Sunday. The 8th and final season of the wildly popular HBO series ended Sunday's award show by winning Best Drama Series to tie its own record for most Emmys for a single season of a show. The honor gave season 8 12 Emmys in 2019, matching a mark previously set by the show's 5th season in 2015. It had entered, having already won 10 at last weekend's Creative Arts Emmys, leaving it just 2 shy. In addition to winning Best Drama Series Sunday, the show also saw Peter Dinklage win Best Supporting Actor for a Drama. Good. So, we talked about this last week.
Yes, we did. And we predicted this. Didn't we say something like when they win for Best Drama or Best Writing or something like that? One of those awards we were saying what they were going to win.
Yeah.
Then the joy will be to watch the heads explode of all these online gurus of propriety or whatever who really despise that last season. I will be the first to say that last season is tremendously flawed.
Yeah.
And it ends in a way that it's easy to see how a lot of people were not satisfied with those endings.
Yeah.
I'm happy it won the award because I think it's an overall award. It's an overall testimony to 8 solid years. How many shows do we have that gave us 8 years of anything? It was on the to the point where it was on for 8 years, and the
Mhm.
last episode had a 17 million
19.
19. I keep doing that. I
Yeah.
keep taking 2 million off because I'm in the discounts. A 19 million rating for the cast of I can't talk. I'm out. That 19 million viewership. That which is higher than the viewership of the premiere episode, you know?
Right. Right.
I don't know if it was higher than the peak when the show was at its peak around season 3 and 4. But definitely 19 million is nothing to sneeze at. That is not a dwindling a dwindling fan base by any stretch of the imagination. So I think it's a testimony, just like that last documentary that they had was kind of a testimony to,
Yeah.
hey, look, there's a lot of people that go into making these things.
Mhm.
There's a lot of work that goes into this stuff. I'm happy that it was acknowledged and won its award. You know, so there's just something to offset that narrative.
You know what's really funny?
We hate everything.
I'm actually okay with it winning Best Drama because, like you kind of said, and I kind of agree. I think it's kind of a culmination award. You know, at this point, it really was the best drama on TV for the last 8 years. And I know, obviously, yes, the last season paled in comparison to its own benchmark that it set. And I agree, it was not executed necessarily the best, even compared to the other nominees. I do, but at the same time, it's like this thing is monumental and it's
a juggernaut. I mean, they're still talking about prequels and people are still excited to see these prequels. Like I don't see a lot of people going, I'll never watch another production from, you know, it's not happening.
No.
And then, I mean, they haven't even turned on the creator. You know, they're literally saying because of George Martin's absence that this is why this happened. So it's the award
though that I actually dispute the most is Peter Dinklage's to win for that season because he's won 3 other times. See, Game of Thrones, what they actually did was they voted then the best drama, and it's a cumulative effort. I was like, but they didn't give any of the other actors because, I mean, every single actor was nominated in every single category, and not one of them won except for Peter Dinklage. I don't know why Peter Dinklage wins. Alfie Allen was nominated, and for his for Reek and for on Game of Thrones.
Theon.
I wish. Well, yeah, sorry, Theon. Yeah, he should have won.
But yes, you are right. Also Reek.
Yeah, I couldn't think of his. I couldn't think of his name. I had to think of Reek, but Dinklage kind of, not that he phoned it in. He still gave great performances, but the execution of his character in the last season was not necessarily the best it had been in previous seasons. So having him kind of win was kind of like, maybe, like, I guess so. I don't know. I would have actually rather have seen Alfie Allen take home the prize if anyone.
Yeah, that would have been nice. That would have been nice if he was able to take something away from that.
But the rest, it's like they basically shut out every other award for Game of Thrones. So, of the top categories. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. I'm actually looking up the other Best Actor nominees as we speak here.
I thought Emilia Clarke should have won something. I know she's won the award at least once.
No, I don't know. She has not. She always ended up missing out.
Really?
Yeah.
She never got an Emmy once.
She got nominated.
And they gave it to Dinklage, and he's got it like 3 times.
I mean,
right?
I'm looking. So here's the thing. I am looking up some of the other nominees right now. You had Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, who played, Jaime Lannister.
Mm-hmm.
Alfie Allen, also nominated. Then you had Giancarlo Esposito, Better Call Saul, and Jonathan Banks, Better Call Saul.
That's not Game of Thrones.
Michael Kelly, House of Cards. Chris Sullivan, This Is Us.
These are not Game of Thrones people.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
What are we talking about now? What are we doing? What are we doing?
I think
is that your fever?
I think Nikolaj Coster,
Waldo. Yeah.
Or Alfie Allen over Dinklage. I guess you got to give it to Game of Thrones then at that point for because it's just There's a lack of other like huge.
I don't mind Peter Dinklage winning because I think I mean it's like it's like the unprecedented aspect of the Sopranos.
Yeah.
To have a character named Big Pussy and have everybody calling him Big Pussy all over the place, all over the television, on news, on news broadcasts and night night talk shows and stuff like that.
Right.
Like that's unprecedented. Like, wow, this guy's just, and that's just a character name, and we're all just all right. We're calling him Big Pussy, on the air on national television. The same with let's face it, the same with Peter Dinklage. You forget that man is a dwarf. You forget that he's
is it little person, right?
Is a little person. He's transcended the physicality of his presentation, even though the entire role was about him being a dwarf in the TV show. You do not look at him as a small person.
No, you don't.
Now that's not a testimony to us. That's a tribute to him. We shouldn't be looking at anybody, by and judging them by their physicality. We shouldn't, but we do. The truth is,
we can't help
the matter
it.
Is we do. No, we shouldn't. We can help it. We just don't. You can help it, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
You can help not to judge, but I think
that's what I'm talking about.
When you naturally see something that is someone that is different.
No, I mean you can fight that. You don't. It doesn't have to be the way you react.
You don't have to be.
You can
right.
Control that.
Right.
Stop the wrong discussions. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I mean that is a testimony to him, and that he's Oliver Trask, and that he was one of the dwarves in in Infinity War, right?
Yep, Infinity War, yep.
And just I mean the man.
He actually looked just like that on stage when he accepted his award too.
Oh, really?
I mean, he had a thick beard too. Maybe he's in for the new Thor movie.
Yeah, good for whatever he's doing. I mean, he is not a small person. He is a little person physically. He's not a small person. He's a tremendous character. His presence, and that is testimony to himself that he transcended that.
Don't get canceled now, Hassan. Don't get canceled. Let's come on. So
I was in no danger of getting canceled, but anyway. Because I never said anything wrong.
Emmy winners by the numbers, most winners by network, HBO 34, Netflix 27, Amazon Prime 15. However, that being said, and then there's a list that goes kind of down there. The big winners, though, was that not just HBO beating Netflix as a year ago. They tied with 23 wins. HBO kind of took the place back. But streamers, why Netflix may have won more awards, but Amazon was arguably streaming's big winner. The company had its best Emmy season yet with 7 wins for Marvelous Miss Maisel. Fleabag, which took home surprise Best Actress category, and also best win, like overall. It was hard to overstate what a surprise. Fleabag's win was upsetting some major favorites in Veep and Miss Maisel. So she took home, and then took for the writing category. She won for Phoebe Waller-Bridge, won for best lead actor, best lead female actor. So it's really an amazing show. And for purposes of our show, even though it wasn't hosted by anyone, Homer Simpson kicked it off with an animated intro.
Okay.
It was actually pretty funny. Them. People were kind of knocking it because they had no host. This is the times that we live in now, right? Where these award ceremonies are now afraid of having a host, someone hosting the show. Because Oscars did that too with the whole Kevin Hart saga too.
All right. Well, what do you think they're afraid of getting canceled?
Yeah. They are. They're afraid of the negative, instantaneous backlash.
You succumb to the fear, then you get what you deserve.
Right?
You succumb to the fear, you get a cartoon host. That's how that works.
I mean, to be fair, Homer Simpson's pretty awesome. The ironic part is they had Homer Simpson up there, who on a big giant screen, obviously, but it looks like he's really there, like the way it plays off. And they kind of like shoot over a shot of the Kardashians as it's happening, and they're kind of like, you could see they're kind of like laughing, but kind of judgmental. This is like, why is this animated person, like this not real person, kicking off the Emmys? And I couldn't help but think of the irony of that, And mind you, I am just picking this all from a glance of their reaction, and
Right. You don't know exactly what they were thinking.
Probably like meow 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 meow.
Oh boy! All right, okay.
Come on, that was a Homer Simpson.
Yeah, the views expressed by Michael Dolce do not happen to be the views of Hassan Godwin.
Come on, that was a throwback to Homer. That was a perfect Homer Simpson throwback.
I know.
Perfect.
I know. But you're about to get canceled. Don't get canceled, Michael Dolce.
Trust me. After my GamerGate saga, I can't get canceled at this point. I'm untouchable now. Because I will just delete this tweet.
Nobody is immune to cancellation.
I know.
We will cancel you all.
The final Emmy thing we want to talk about, too, is Family Guy. They had a nice little Family Guy moment where they crashed the Emmys, talking about how Roseanne Barr and Bill Cosby were the height of people honored at the Emmys many years ago, and they want to know who the next Roseanne Barr and Bill Cosby were going to be.
That's tacky. That's not cool. That's not cool. Even
they caught fleck for that. Why is it not cool though? I mean, come on, it's funny.
That's not cool. I mean, look, leave it there. Like, Roseanne. That's it's not funny that she lost her whole career, off of some stupid tweet, and I don't disagree with it. But it's still not something I would laugh at. It's not something I would make fun of. And the Bill Cosby thing, man, that's touchy all around. That's just oof.
Isn't the purpose of comedy though to take uncomfortable?
I don't know.
things?
I don't get into that argument. What's the purpose of comedy?
We're on a comedy network now. We have to be funny.
I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that. I've laughed at things that are not, detrimental to others. I mean. Everything is funny. Everything could be made into a joke. Everything is funny. There's still a character. There still has to be couth. There's still got to be a little bit of craftsmanship and quality to how you make your joke in whatever. So I mean, the complaint that we're an oversensitive society. Of course we are. We always were. We always were. We've always been a reactionary people. We've always been like that. But it doesn't denote that something terrible has been lost because you can't go out and make a bunch of dick jokes, and get an Emmy anymore. It's not a sign that we're regressing. It really
What about
isn't.
this? Thomas Lennon, who I love the fact that Thomas Lennon has had a career because I was a big fan of The State, MTV's The State when I was a kid. It's like one of my famous.
I remember that.
He actually took to the intermissions and would make these jokes. Again, this is because there was no host, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he made the remark about these Emmys are brought to you by are being seen by millions of people in jail right now. We hope those 2 weeks fly by, as a little nod to Felicity Huffman. Come on, that was funny. That's funny, right? Or something like to all the previous winners who are now in jail. Or previous nominees, something like that. But it was a direct jab at
I don't know. Yeah, it is. That's fine. I mean, it's not terrible.
That's where you draw the line. You're like this one's okay.
I mean, I'm not. Look, even the Roseanne joke is okay. I'm not saying they're not okay. These jokes shouldn't happen. I'm just saying they're tacky. There's oh, come on, man. And it is touchy. You have to be a particular kind of comedian to be able to pull off those jokes. Because even a Bill Cosby joke, even with Bill Cosby as a butt of your jokes,
right?
You're talking about a man who assaulted several people.
Yes.
Somewhere underneath it all, there's the ugliness of the crime that's there, even while you're laughing. Now I'm not saying that
we're not laughing at the crime. We're laughing at the fate of the criminal.
No. Yes and no. Yes and no. He's a criminal, and he's on your mind because of his crimes. So yes and no. It's arguable to say either one. So I just don't dabble in those waters, but I'm not going to get into dictating whether something should or shouldn't happen. I'm just saying it's tacky. I reserve the right to say that's a tacky joke.
What is inarguable? What is not arguable at all? Is that our next guest is unbelievable. We have Collective Soul coming on, talk about their new album, Blood, which hit a couple months ago, and their tour. It's very exciting. It's very amazing. And that is coming up next. Check out the all-new Sire Studios website, SireStudiosInc.com. Find all your back issues for The Sire, Mainstream, Undone, and more. And be on the lookout for news and announcements, convention appearances, and brand new podcasts coming to Sire Studios. That address again is SireStudiosInc.com. I'm everything my 19-year-old self fought hard to not be.
Yes, you are the.
It's like 19-year-old self is like,
you've
don't
become
sell out.
what you hate. You've become the enemy.
19-year-old self, don't sell out. Yeah, 39-year-old self is like,
Sell out every night.
Out. Like, sell it out, baby.
First sign of trouble. First sign of trouble. Sell out.
Secrets of the Sire. Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture, and music every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. So really thrilled with our next guest. We have the bassist Will Turpin from Collective Soul joining us. Will, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, doing good, man.
It's a thrill having you on. Loved your band for a long time now. Ironically enough, I didn't get into you guys as much in '94 when you guys kind of like broke big. Got into you a little bit later, kind of discovered your CDs, and when I was in college a few years later, and it became like one of those theme tracks to my senior year of college. So I have hints and allegations and things left unsaid are just it was like a soundtrack to my senior year. So it's pretty cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's 25 years for Collective Soul now. I mean, we were I was in my senior year of college and we got signed to Atlantic Records, but yeah, 25 years later, you get a perspective where you don't really take it lightly that people have allowed Collective Soul to become the soundtrack to their lives or their memories or their greatest moments.
Yeah, no, and it really, I mean, it's so amazing to me. It really is just, how lucky and fortunate I am to kind of talk to you guys. But it's also just a testament to your guys' music, as well, that, 25 years later, you guys are still, as strong as ever.
Yeah, we feel that way. We definitely, when we get together and create right now, I still get those moments where, the hair stands up on my arm and I'm like, okay, that's it. Music is kind of like one of the last kind of magics in the world, really. I mean, it can heal you. It's a tangible energy that can do so many things for humans. And we still, it boils down to emotion kind of, and when it's right, we still get that feeling when it's right that we've always had for 25 years now.
Very cool. I want to get into your past a little bit, but I want to start with the new record. The new record's Blood. It's been out. It's called Blood. It's been out for a few months now. When I got my hands on it, the thing that struck me, and my co-host, who's not on this particular recording, is like, "Don't insult him." I said, "No, this is not an insult. This is actually a really good thing." I feel like it could be in 1999. Or 2019. Like, I feel like this record I could have picked this up anywhere. And I actually don't mean to say that it's dated. I mean, it just fits so nicely in what you guys have done that it just feels like vintage Collective Soul. What do you guys feel about the record?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of close friends who are musicians who give us those kind of insights and their opinions, as well as people like you that are in the industry that take the time to listen to everything out there. But, yeah, we've kind of heard that a couple times. Like, man, this sounds fresh, crisp. It sounds like it could be 2019, but it also sounds a little bit like it would have been fresh and crisp in 1999 too. So I kind of know what you're saying there. But
yeah.
I mean, from our perspective, the creators, like, it's just, for us, it's just try not to overanalyze too much and do what feels right to us and go with that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the tracks. So the standout track for me was "Right as Rain." I love how conflicted E feels in that song about the contemporary world. What tracks are you guys really like, jamming out these days when you're playing live?
Yeah, Riders Rain comes off real easy, and we love playing that song live. Matter of fact, that's probably the oldest song on the CD because we played it on tour all through 2018. That whole summer, we went ahead and played that song live. We enjoy playing Crushed. That's a cool rhythmical juxtaposition that Johnny Rabb kind of started, and then I get to be part of that, and we get to play all around the beat. So I love Crushed. As far as overall themes and overall songs, I'm a sucker for the pop, smooth pop riders, kind of like Big Sky. I always thought Big Sky was great. Love the theme and the idea of that song.
Funny you mentioned that was actually playing right before you called, because I'm listening to the record right before you guys jumped on here, and it's got such a great hook to it that it's still in my head right now as we're talking. So it's kind of funny you point that one out.
Yeah, and it's just a simple theme. There's something bigger out there than us.
Yeah, a lot of your music too. I mean, has a spiritual edge to it, or a spiritual not edge. It's not the right word, but a spiritual tone to it. But
yeah.
it doesn't feel inaccessible. Is that something you guys?
Oh well, yeah. I mean, that's a good way to say it. Inaccessible. Yeah, we never wanted. We grew up Christians. Ed and Dean's father was a minister. Ed and Dean's father was one of my first music directors. He was choir director at the church when I was a kid. But we grew up Christians, but we never wanted our music or anything we did to be inaccessible to somebody else from another religion or something. So that was kind of a big deal for us to, we have a Christian background and we were all Christians, but we don't want our music pigeonholed and labeled as Christian music. We want. And I think Jesus would say the same thing. I think he would want everybody, all the children of the world,
Yeah. No, absolutely. This one's a very personal record for E as well, too, because I know there was issues with his sister and his wife having to deal with certain things. Do you feel comfortable talking a little bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, lyrically, I think Ed, to me, lyrically, this Blood as a whole, Ed really took it to another level as far as what he was dealing with. Either watching, his wife and his sister-in-law, go through what they went through, to all kind of personal experiences. It's part to do with just getting older too. We experience more things in life as we get older. Things that when you're younger, your dad and mom didn't really tell you this is what life's about, but it is. These horrible things happen all the time, and lyrically and musically, these things can be therapy, and these things can be healing powers as well. And man, like I said, Ed's lyrics are really impressive on this entire record. So
yeah, no, they really stood out to me in this particular record as I was listening to them. I knew something was going on, and then I did a little more research. In my research, I discovered that Ed did not even really want to be in a band. He had sent out Shine as a pitch for songwriting, and then it kind of took off. Is that how you remember it, or how did you guys get together?
That would have been that would have been 93 when he's talking about the first record that was also pitched as a singer-songwriter demo. When Ed was young, and you got to remember, me, Ed, and Dean have known each other my entire memory. I've known them, but no, of course, when Ed was young, he wanted to be in a band. He bought his first guitar. He worked endlessly. We used to use Ed was 29, right, when we got signed. So people would be like, "Oh, what about this overnight success?" And we'd always say, "Well, yeah, it's 10 years of overnight success, right?" Ed worked tirelessly on his craft, whether it was at my father's studio, reel to reel, as head engineer, and working on his own songs there, or playing live. He played live all the time. I think what gets confused about that story is that he had worked on it for a long time, and he had a beautiful songwriter demo at this point where some of those songs were band songs. Some of them were completely done by Ed. And he was, he was definitely trying to get into any outlet possible with his skills. So yeah, there was a moment where, but the band was never really not a band either in the same breath. So if that helps. I don't know if that helps or not.
Well, it does. The thing that I love about it too is, I mean, I experienced a career renaissance in my industry around 35, and I love reading that he's like, well, I'm 30 years old. No one's going to sign a band that's, you know,
Right.
that has a 30-year-old as a lead singer, and I just, you know, I love, you know, for me it was a very, you know, I personally attached myself to that, you know, end of it. So it's kind of neat. Now, you guys were younger though, or you're the same age, or how does that work?
Yeah. So Ed's 6.5 years older than me,
Mm-hmm.
but we grew up in a tiny little town. I really would like a quintessential Collective Soul documentary so people can realize
Yeah.
how small this circle was. They grew up a couple streets over from me. The Baptist church was in that same circle. Then my
Uh-huh.
father's studio was in that same circle. And I'm telling you, it was no more than a third of a mile radius of all those things in this small town in Georgia. And without all of those ingredients, there is no Collective Soul. I think all of those ingredients were part of what made the band.
Who are your influences then?
Yeah, so I grew up mainly in the 80s. So the 80s influences, you know, REM would have been real big to us because they were, you know, right out of Athens. We were proud of that. U2, NXS, all the cool 80s stuff. Of course, Tom Petty, big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of 70s and 60s. The Beatles are probably my biggest influence.
Mm-hmm.
Queen, Elton John, all those things are still really kind of the core of our favorites.
Yeah.
But we find, man, there's so much good music out there right now. And then, you know, you've got all kind of good rock bands out there crushing it.
What's the studio process like? I mean, who's bringing songs in? I know you mentioned Ed being you know, a primary songwriter, but you mentioned you guys bringing in tracks as well too. Is it a shared collective? Oh, collective, huh? I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, where'd you get that word?
Is it
I mean, Ed brings in a number of songs that are constructed kind of the arrangements basically there. We'll tweak it. We'll transform some parts and make it okay. Now it starts to sound like a Collective Soul song. And then every now and then there's certainly some songs that spring out of a jam session or a riff, and we develop that into a Collective Soul tune too. And usually with those examples, you know, Ed comes up with melodies, and you know, he'll fake some words or maybe come up with one hook, and then, you know, he'll kind of fill in the blanks with lyrics later.
Off air, my co-host and I were talking to, and your band to us is one of those bands that is just deceptively successful. It's one of those things where you listen to a song. I took a girlfriend a long time ago to a concert, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't know this band did that. I didn't know this band played this." And I said, "Yeah, you know, that's I feel like what you guys are. I feel like you guys have had so many hits, but people, you know, wouldn't necessarily tie you with these hits. Is that something you guys feel, or how do you guys approach your own success?"
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely been part of Collective Soul's, you know, thing, is that we started out wanting to be known for our music, and we focused on songs, and we focused on how much music we could put out there. I mean, the first 5 years we recorded 4 records, and we were always just chomping at the bit to do more music, and we wanted to be known for our music. And then somewhere along the line, you know, maybe we didn't go out and hang out with enough, I don't know, models, or maybe we didn't raise enough hell and get arrested or something. But yeah, I mean, still 25 years later, no doubt, almost every time, if somebody's never seen us live, or they're fans, but they're not really hardcore fans, it's still to this day, 25 years later, I didn't know y'all played all those songs. So, I mean,
what's the
it is what it is, and it's a good issue to have, really. But we realized it years ago, and you know, it's still there.
What's the set list like on tour?
The set list is, you know, it's another good problem to have. You know, having over 100 songs at this point cataloged. It's you know, it's really just, it's about celebrating life and getting everybody in the room and exchanging these energies and emotions, and you know, getting everybody to sing along and forget about some of the other things going on in your life and just let go for a while, really. And as far as the songs we pick, we definitely don't shy away from the hits. We appreciate the fact that, like I said, these songs have become the soundtrack to people's lives. So we're always excited to play the hits. We throw some new twists on there, like December is very long version, and
Mm-hmm.
we take the solo section out a little bit. But we're playing like 5 new tunes from Blood right now,
Cool.
and we try to squeeze in some other deeper cuts. But as you mentioned, with all the hits, it kind of we just we try to make it fun for us, fun for the crowd, and play as many of the hits and as well as many of the new stuff and as many of the deeper cuts as we can. But God, there's just so many songs, we can't do them all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's actually very remarkable too. I mean, you go down your discography and it's like, wow, okay, yeah, there was this one. Oh yeah, I love this one. And and again, my co-host and I were just talking. He's like, oh, The World I Know is my favorite. Is his favorite track, and I'm like, oh, I love that song, but it's not my favorite. This is my favorite. He's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. I'm like, yeah, and it just, you go back and forth. You're like, wow, it's really, really impressive. So kudos to you guys. So we are a pop culture show. We talk about not just music, but we talk about just comics, movies, and TV. Are you into any of that stuff? Is the band into any of that stuff? What are you guys streaming these days? Are you, when you're on the tour bus? Is there anything pop culture related? Game of Thrones? Anything that?
I was going to go straight to Game of Thrones. We were all hooked real big with that, and just love it. Love the whole thing. We're big Star Wars fans too. I mean, we grew up in the 80s. So, yeah. I mean, somehow deep in my brain, I still think Star Wars is real somewhere in a far, far galaxy. It's like,
what did you think of the last season of Game of Thrones? Because that's actually one of the things we were talking about tonight, because it just won the Emmy, but a lot of fans are divided about how it ended.
I think the writing was so brilliant. I think the storylines can go on and keep going on, and I think they decided to end it. And I'm not sure there would have been like a really perfect, smooth way to end it. I loved it. I loved some of the scenes, the Hound and the Mountain. I mean, that scene was amazing. I loved it. But I do feel like they had all of a sudden, the writers were like, well, we got to tie this thing up somehow. Let's just start tying it up. And they didn't, because they could have kept writing for seasons up on end. They just could have kept going. But it did have a little bit of that. We just got to tie things up. I don't know the best way to tie this up. Let's just tie it up.
Yeah, it definitely felt a little clunky in terms of, our argument was if they'd have just done 2 full seasons, I think everyone would have been happy. They, the shortened seasons, really they crammed a lot into those last, 2 seasons of 6 episodes.
And I think that's probably what people are feeling more than anything, how much they crammed in there, and some of the sloppy, a little bit, like you said, a little clunky, the way they tied some of the stuff together at the end. But. So,
getting back to Blood real quick, and then again, I appreciate your time. The thing, again, I had mentioned at the beginning of the interview was how it seamlessly fits into you guys' discography, and also just, it could have came out in the 90s. It could come out in 2019. You mentioned some good bands today. What are you listening to today, and what do you think the rock style is? Because I got to be honest with you, I can pick apart, being a rock music historian, I can pick apart just different eras and say this was this era and this was this era, and there's a subgenre in this era. And I feel like today, with streaming and with everything, I couldn't even tell you what
there's
the sound.
Not a definitive style.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about that. I think you're onto something there. There really kind of isn't a definitive rock and roll style right now. That being said, it can be also a good thing to have so many different sounds and so many different influences coming at you. I mean, you got anything from Greta Van Fleet, which, harkening the days of Led Zeppelin, to, all kind of good bands out there. Young the Giant, I know they've been around a decade now, but I love that band. Great rock band. Not a lot of distorted guitars, but it's rock and roll.
Young the Giant is actually a very underrated band too. I got to interview them a few years ago, and they're awesome. I mean, I'm
a big fan, so yeah, I dig that.
What do you think? So you mentioned Greta Van Fleet. They're the only band that is commercially, I feel like, who hasn't been around for 20 years, making any kind of headway. Is there any other up and coming band that you guys have maybe heard of or listened to, or maybe, even got a chance to see at a festival or tour that we should be aware of?
I mean, up and coming, I'm probably going to think of 3 or 4 names right now. See if we get off the Royal Tusk is some friends of ours, and they're getting some good marks on there. They're getting some good really good feedback on their second record out of Canada. So check out Royal Tusk. They just opened up, did some shows opening up for Slash
very
in the
cool.
States. So when the
Very,
Canadian
very cool.
bands cross over to the States, I know something's good is happening for them.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, and I'll think of a few more when I get off the phone. But
Will, I appreciate your time. I appreciate taking time out. You guys are in Huntington next, correct? Or
Huntington, New York, is that right? Yeah, we're in Concord, New Hampshire tonight. We're somewhere else tomorrow. I don't know, man. I'll be there though, wherever it is.
Well, really appreciate you taking some time out. Everyone out there, go pick up Blood. It's great. Go check out Collective Soul Live. They are amazing. Will Turpin, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Oh, look. Kid Heritage fighting Cersei again.
Yeah.
Ain't that something? Ain't that something?
Are they gonna bring Daenerys in? Are they gonna?
Yes.
Marvel's attempt. This is Marvel's attempt to
do it all.
Just to retcon the ending of Game of Thrones, isn't it?
Maybe so. Maybe this will be how they do it.
We're gonna do it.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. Definitely want to thank our guests, Collective Souls. Pretty awesome. They're amazing. The new record is really, really good, especially if you're into them. If you're not into them,
I still think "The World I Know" is one of the saddest songs I've ever heard.
yeah.
You
No,
know?
they have
Very. I mean, not sad as in like a bad sad song, but like a really good, like moving, emotional piece of music.
They have
They're
so
very,
many like closet hits that you just wouldn't even know.
Yeah,
were
they're like
hits.
the Eagles. They're like they're like our modern. I mean, not to the caliber of what the Eagles turn out to be, but they are. I remember watching a concert of theirs a couple of years ago, and they played one or two hits, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, well, then they're about done, and then they played another one and another one and another. And I'm like, wow, these guys have a lot of hits. How many songs do these guys have? And they kind of rolled out maybe at least 10 in this small segment that I watched.
Yeah,
that are well-known songs. So
yeah,
I mean, those guys are not a joke.
I mean, it's just funny because The World I Know, the reason I said that is that album didn't even reach, is not even like one of their best-selling albums. Their best-selling album is Hints and Allegations, and then their 1997 album, Blender, I think is the next one, or maybe not be Blender, I forget what it is, but that's the one that was one of their top-selling albums too. So just to think, like, you mentioning a song that's like, I know that song.
But the album in and of itself, what didn't blow through, but The World I Know is everywhere.
Yeah,
like that song will come up.
No, December's also a big hit off that album too. So it's like it's crazy. So again, awesome. That's kind of the cool part about this job, is to be able to talk to really, people that grew up listening to or especially in the music world. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Secrets of the Sire is brought to you by all of our beloved patrons, dedicated fans: Tom Osa, Craig Caruso, Einar Peterson, Matt Beyer, Ashley Haikai, Omar Morales, Brian Phillips, Steve Hovecki, our program director, Stephanie Dolce, and as always, our Uber fan, Christina Dolce. We do this every week. We go spinning the racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
Mistake of my life.
As we've been doing, we've transformed this into the behind the scenes of the books you need to read, because they are going to be the books that the comic books that are eventually going to make their way up on screen. In tonight's particular case, there's no greater example of the two worlds meshing than our review of Spider-Man #1, which just hit last week. It was on our books to read list, the must-have reads for the week of the 18th. Why? Because it was helmed by none other than the man of mystery himself, as coined by Marvel, J.J. Abrams.
Man in the mystery box.
Yes. Yes. And his son Henry Abrams, who joined forces with superstar artist Sarah Pichelli. It's Pichelli.
Fantastic artist.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And they bring out a new Spider-Man book. So if you haven't read it yet, what are you waiting for? Go out and get it. It's great. Go check it out. All right.
Did you honestly think it was great? You
no,
honestly,
actually, it's great that they should go out and get it. It's great that they should get it.
Hot take. Hot take.
So it opens up in the future, or it doesn't even open up in the future. It technically opens up in the present. It's Spider-Man and Mary Jane. It's a very familiar kind of opening. Something is happening.
We're in the prime.
Yeah, it's
Earth, right? We're in the prime.
we'll get to that.
Marvel
we'll get
universe.
to that. Yeah, no, we'll get to that in a second. It looks like we're in the prime universe because as Peter and Mary Jane, some calamity has befallen the Brooklyn Bridge, and there's these alien things, and this villain called Cadaverous shows up. Blah blah blah, and as is typical fashion, Spider-Man says, "Run, Mary Jane, run," but she can't because
danger, Mary Jane.
And again, this is spoilers. By page 6, she has a spiked arm of Cadaverous through her heart, and she is no more. And you're sitting there going, what the F? The next page is the funeral, and there's a young lad there with a definitively red hair-ish holding Peter Parker's hands, and you realize this is, as we talked about last week, this is Ben Parker. This is the son of Mary Jane and Peter Parker. So this is taking place in another alternate Earth.
Another a future, an alternate but futuristic
right
depiction of the Marvel universe. Right.
And then so you jump immediately forward. Ben Parker is now a teenager. He's discovering that he is Spider-Man as well too. He's kind of pissed off all these years. His dad is a traveling news reporter, I guess, or something, because it did not quite say exactly what he was. But he's definitely older. He's got a hook for a hand now. So Spider-Man had some tough battles along the way. Apparently, his son didn't know his dad was Spider-Man.
Of course.
Aunt May reveals at the end that you should go check out these box full of love letters and a Spider-Man costume. And this is where we're going to start to see the father-son connection, which is apparent in the J.J. Abrams, Henry Abrams connection. They decided to take this story and run with it. My initial reaction to it, beautifully drawn. Sarah Pichelli is unbelievable. She is just so good. She is so good at creating depth with just a single line.
Yeah, I would actually. Well, she's got a tremendous command, and this is very important for a sequential storyteller, comic book artist. She's got a tremendous command of the human form.
Yeah,
this is why she's always worked so well on the Ultimate Spider-Man, on the Miles Morales Spider-Man, which is pretty much where she cut her teeth on that. I can't praise it higher than already. It's amazing work.
Some artists use like shadow and cross hatching,
perfect for Spider-Man,
or whatever the case is. Right, yes, I agree with that too. She's very much like David Marquez in that.
Yes,
because he's amazing too, where he can literally just draw a confident line, and there's depth and weight to.
And no need for all the crazy cross hatching or the over exaggerated. No, just perfect. Perfect confidence in the form.
Yep.
And the human form is interesting enough without having to snazz it up with all kinds of, Yep. And I don't denigrate any other artist who does that. I'm just saying it's notable for not doing it, just as it is notable for doing it.
Exactly. So that's where we'll get to with the art. Cadaverous looks interesting. We don't know anything about him. So this is my this is my complaints.
Here we go.
About the story, and I would like to learn more about him. Yes, so I'll give you that. There was a definitive shock value to seeing Mary Jane murdered, followed by the realization that none of this is going to count. Whereas you've had previous, like Joss Whedon, when he wrote X-Men, he wrote, first of all, he wrote the definitive Kitty Pryde. He brought Colossus back to life in his run. He wrote the definitive Kitty Pryde as the headmaster, which has been now templated and used over and over again, like putting her, setting her up to be the headmaster.
He established that ground.
Directly has influenced the continuity. this is going. I can't see how, and maybe I'm wrong. And again, this is the first issue. How this is going to influence the continuity. The second thing that I found was that aside from that particular scene and the scene where Ben Parker tosses the bully through the classroom door, I don't see it as anything like I can't like there's nothing really like that stands out. It's such a quick issue that it's this modern storytelling of we're going to just take this as a movie or a TV series and write it as a comic because we know we have 6 issues. We know you're going to pick up the next one, you know. And I just didn't think it was. I just didn't think it was anything spectacular.
Going from the first 5 pages of say something like V for Vendetta to this Spider-Man would be like, wow, am I reading a coloring book? Like, where are the words? What's going on? How come nobody has decided to explain anything to me or set anything up?
Right, and I'm sure they will, and you can, but this is the fault of, I think, again, the modern storytelling.
So so basically you're saying you had the same problem with it as I am having with the House of X, or the Powers of X and House of X story. Is the fact that none of this is going to stay.
No, see, I disagree with you. That's where I think we disagree. I think Powers of X and House of X.
No. Listen again.
Okay.
Basically, you're saying about Spider-Man what I'm saying about House of X. I didn't say you agreed. We're on a different subject.
I got you. Yes.
Okay, I don't want to get into an argument about House of X.
I got you. I like arguing with you. It's fun.
Yeah, okay.
All right, I agree. Yes, I agree.
You never win.
That is your issue with House of X.
Yeah, and you're saying you're having basically the same. You're worrying about the same staying power of this Spider-Man thing. Of like, why am I reading this? How much of an impact
exactly
in the industry is this going to make? Right.
See, but where I do disagree with you in terms of your assumption of House of X and Powers of X, which look, you could be right. I mean, none of this could stick. I feel like it's because it's affecting the direct continuity. And it reshaped Maura McTaggart in a way that I think other writers can now kind of like cling to and see if they can do stuff with. I think it has the potential to stick. This one, just the fact that it's not even our Earth, like I can't even imagine it
doesn't really matter though. It's not really how much staying power House of X is going to have. It's that they've messed with the continuity so much that I just don't care about. Like, it's not a new thing for me to experience. Like, wow, I'm looking at all these facets that I'm so used to in such different ways now. Mm-hmm. You know, the impact is not there because they've changed things.
Yeah,
it's like every five days you rearrange your furniture in your house. You know. So I come over Monday and your sofa is near the window, and I come over Friday, your sofa's near the, near the back door,
yeah.
And I come over Sunday and your sofa's moved again. I'm like, I'm not gonna be like, well, yeah, I really liked, where you had your sofa originally. I'm gonna be like, well, all right, obviously this is gonna be the scenery's gonna keep changing,
right?
So I'm not gonna get used to anything,
right?
And that's basically the bad will that they've earned, the last almost decade of constantly messing around with the continuity. So that's why I feel that way. I hope it stays like that. I hope I'm dead wrong. I hope it stays like that for another 10 years. But
the other thing too about this book too is that it feels
the Spider-Man book you're talking about.
Yeah, it feels very like obviously they're big fans of Into the Spider-Verse because you have this like cynical, depressed Spider-Man, and it's like I don't know. Maybe I'm just a cynical, depressed reader. Maybe that is.
You're. See, I'm unlike you. I'm not gonna dissuade you of your feelings of it. That's how you feel. That's how you feel. I'm not gonna tell you you're wrong for feeling that way. The art is beautiful and the story is interesting. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you. I don't think it's going to have a lasting impact because they've changed things so much. I guess what we're supposed to take from all this is that we're supposed to change our perspective on the medium of comic books in and of itself. Maybe what comic books are becoming are just a whole series of unattached stories,
Yeah.
and reimaginings and one-offs, all over and over and over again. And so that's kind of how we're gonna have to start looking at things, that they're not all tied together in this one universal continuity, but that they're all what ifs, or just reimaginings or something like that. And I mean, I wouldn't mind that either. I would just need them to let me know that, so that I can know exactly what kind of impact these things are going to have.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting to see where these things kind of go from here. All right, well, gotta again thank our guest, Collective Soul. Awesome to have him on. It was really tremendous. And next week, believe it or not, New York Comic Con is here. We'll be broadcasting on the eve of New York Comic Con. We have Newsarama's Chris Arrett coming on. It's going to give us what we need to know about the biggest show on the East Coast. And should we basically just be prepping, which we will be, for the arrival of a certain Batman Villains movie, which will be debuting Thursday.
That week,
day after. Yeah.
It's going to be a crazy week for comic books.
We got a lot of things going on, so we're very, very excited. So thank you for joining us, guys. See you next week.
Have a good night.